Good Thursday morning. The text a little bit more difficult today on this one here. But this is a very famous part of St. Paul's letter to the Romans, where he asserts that it is by faith, not by works, especially works of the law. That's he's referring. In this case, he has to be speaking to Jewish Christians, okay? It's got to be. That was his audience, I believe, in Rome. With the Roman Jews, that was his entree in because of the observance of the law. And what he saw, what St. Paul saw, it was that Christ fulfilled the law, and that the law, it isn't by observance of the law, but by faith that we are redeemed. It's faith, very, very much so. It's not by works. See, it contrasts works with faith. Works meant to do certain kinds of things, and especially the observance of the law, the Jewish Mosaic law. We're not redeemed by the Mosaic law, but faith in Christ. That's a crucial move. And what he does is, by St. Paul making that move, anybody can be a believer. See, but not everybody can be a Jew, because that is a religion of inheritance. It depends on being a member of that family. You could almost say you have to have the bloodlines. It's in a sense, in a very true and rich and beautiful sense, it's a tribal religion. What Christianity is not. Christianity is not based on heritage, but an act of will. Do you believe in Christ or not? It doesn't make any difference. He is neither Jew nor Gentile. Only the believer. Whoever believes, you see? So it's not a matter of fulfilling the law. It's only a matter of believing. And then in the belief of Christ, fulfilling whatever that requires of life. That's the truth, too. See? He says, what occasion is there for boasting? It's ruled out. On what principle? That of works? You can tell he's talking to a Jewish Christian there. No, rather on the principle of faith. For we consider that a person is justified by faith, apart from works of the law. Does God belong to Jews alone? Does he not belong to Gentiles too? Yes, also to Gentiles, for God is one, and will justify the circumcised on the basis of faith, and the uncircumcised through faith. You see that? You know who really took this to heart and really became the basis is Luther. Glaube allein, faith alone. And he was attacking what became so many things of works, conventionals. I think a lot of the practices of the church. The Catholic Church at that time, selling of indulgences. You buy paradise. I'm using my father's language. You're buying paradise. You can't buy paradise. Not for sale. Christ is not for sale, you see. In so many ways, but especially during that period in the Renaissance and the post-Renaissance Protestant Reformation, that period, it was an unhealthy period in the life of the church. Some great things came of it. I mean, whatever. The Middle Ages is a brilliant age of genius. But also in the I would call it the early modern age, from the 14th century on, 15th century. You also had abuse. It led to the Renaissance, and in the Renaissance, it gives us the great cathedrals of Europe. I got to give them credit. But they're as much testimonies to humanism as they are to the faith. I think the Protestant Reformation was providentially necessary, to be honest with you, because it made us recall that it is by faith, Glaube. It's by faith alone that we are saved. We have to exercise that faith through practice, through worship, moral obedience, moral life, not obedience, moral life. We have to live the faith, not just articulate it. We have to live it, not just believe it, but function and live according to it. But we're not buying paradise by our actions. We are expressing the love of God as it is in our lives through the way we live our lives. When I think of growing up, maybe I'm talking the wrong, but I got to think that a lot of the people listening to these things, watching these things, are my age. I got to think, maybe homebound, whatever. If you're old as I am, you have to remember the conventions of our youth and the youth in the church. And in so many ways, we were buying paradise. Wasn't there one, I don't remember, but if you made 7 straight First Fridays, one of the saints said, I forget who it was, one of the saints said if you made 5 or 7 straight First Fridays, you were guaranteed paradise. So you course, all the Italian kids in my neighborhood made 7 and then went back to church again. Why? I already got it in my pocket. I laugh about that. But it's perilously close to the truth. You can't buy paradise. It's not for sale. You don't go to 7 First Fridays because you want to go to paradise. You go because you want to worship God in a significant way. You don't go to church on Sundays because you're afraid of a mortal sin. You go because you have both an obligation and a desire to worship the God of creation and redemption. You go there out of love for Christ and love for the church, your community of fellow believers. God, I find such strength and such reassurance from the believers that I minister to. But they minister to me too by their faith, by their friendship, by their wisdom. The same, of course, in the order, most especially in the order during my formative years. But when I had been at St. Tim's, St. Mark's, since 1971, even the 13 years I was in Lowell, I came back and forth on a monthly basis, mostly to visit my friends. But in so doing it, I was also living at the parish and worshiping and presiding. 5 generations now, 4 going on 5. These little babies now, that's the 5th generation. You see? I have gotten far more than I've ever given. They have nurtured my faith, the believers, the most poignantly and powerfully when their hope in a final, a paradisal redemption. I saw them as they buried their dead, especially when they had to bury their children. And I've been there and I've seen it. I saw the faith that they had. It nurtured my faith. Their belief in Christ, it wasn't trivial. It wasn't pharisaical. It was a deep belief in the redemptive power of Christ's love, that in Christ's love for us, he transforms death into life. You have to see it. And I was witness to that all these years. I have to say that I think the parish has been a singular religious gift, apart from my vocation. Religious gift is the parish, St. Mark's, St. Tim's, because I think I discovered the life of the church. I saw it in a very special way in the order. But here it's the parochial Catholic, the guy out in the street, the gal raising their kids. Where I really saw it? I saw it in the playground when I saw these men. These were the fathers, coaching their kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade in soccer and baseball. Okay, those are the 2 sports I saw. And their mothers teaching their daughters volleyball and this and that. I saw the life of the church. I saw what it was. It wasn't just going to church on Sunday or going to the school, although we had one fabulously good school at St. Mark's and St. Timothy's, okay? I can talk about that later. I'd never had any use for Catholic grammar schools until I came here, and I said, wow, this is excellence. These are great school teachers. These nuns were fabulous. I mean it. I'm telling you as a professor, these were fabulous teachers. These kids were special, but I saw it on the ball fields too. And I remember I was at St. Louis U then at the time studying, getting my PhD, and I remember sitting by the window and looking out and watching these kids playing hockey on the parking lot. That's the church, playing hockey on the parking lot. These were 7th, 8th grade. They're grandparents now. This was 52 years ago. These 12 and 15-year-olds are 65 years old now. Isn't that neat? The life of the faith, passing on the beliefs, passing on the love, passing on the friendship among friends. Isn't that a neat story? Huh? It is. It's a wonder. We pass on the faith to each other by how we live it. And that's the truth. And it is the truth. It is the faith shared. And it's shared on the ball fields. It's shared in the locker rooms. It's shared in the pews. It's shared in the funeral parlors. That's the truth.